Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Wednesday, July the 3rd. I guess everybody's getting ready for July the 4th. I have some thoughts about July the 4th a little bit later. I just posted a podcast on my blog as well as Twitter, a podcast that I did with our friend Rosine talking about the situation in France. As you may have heard, they had an election on Sunday. That was what they call the first round. And then in the second round, the top two vote getters go to the second round. It's sort of like like what we call here, not a playoff, but a runoff. And then the top two candidates go to that runoff. And that's going to happen on Sunday. And Rosine was expecting that the party that Marine Le Pen runs, the Action Nationale, I think is the name of that party, which is a center-right party. She's expecting that party to win, and they will have enough votes that they'll be able to name a prime minister. So it's going to be very interesting. Stay tuned to the news on Sunday, because by Sunday night, Texas time, we should have a pretty good indication of what happened in France. But clearly, the voters in France are moving to the right. And we've talked about this before. You're seeing it in other countries as well. A lot of it has to do with the illegal immigration problem. I think a lot of it has to do, frankly, with taxation, with regulation. Many of these European countries, the taxes are very high. But frankly, the government, a lot of people don't feel that they're getting their money's worth. They're paying very high taxes, but what are they getting? What are they getting? In some cases, they're so-called free healthcare programs, and their healthcare systems don't really deliver the results that I think people would expect when they spend the kind of taxes that they spend. So change is coming to Europe, and it's coming quickly. And France seems to be at the front of that change. And so we'll see what happens. We certainly wish for the best and hope that, that France can settle its differences, because the country is very divided at the moment, as you can see from some of the protests that we're seeing in France. Well, back here in the United States, we have a little bit of desperation versus reality when it comes to the Biden White House. The Biden White House is, they want to hold on to the candidate. They're doing their best to present a happy face, if you will, to the Biden candidacy. But it's not really working very well. A lot of Democrats are very concerned. What the Biden White House is trying to do is they're trying to say, look, that was just a bad night, but we're okay. I can do okay. I can do better. I can do okay. So, they have the president out the other night giving that little 4-minute speech against the Supreme Court. He didn't take a single question. That would have really helped him, helped him to convince people that he can handle this. If he had just said, okay, I'm open to questions, and just taken, 5 to 10 questions, I think that would have helped him. But he didn't take questions, something that he hasn't done that much as president. And today, I think they had a little ceremony in the White House, a Medal of Honor ceremony for a couple of Union soldiers of the Civil War. That's what presidents do. There's nothing unusual about that. But there he was. But if you noticed one thing, because I picked up on this right away, on the night that he gave the Supreme Court speech, his skin color was almost like orange, as if he'd been made up in some orange color. I mean, it looked weird, actually, like he had been made up very strongly. But today he was back to the more normal look. So I don't know what's going on. But if President Biden wants to settle this issue for once and for all, if he wants to persuade not just Republicans, but persuade Democrats that he's okay, that he can handle this, there's only one way to do it, and that is to hold a press conference and answer every question from every reporter, not do selected one-on-one interviews like he's going to do with George Stephanopoulos of ABC. That's not what he needs. Okay, what he needs to do is simply just do a press conference like presidents have always done. I mean, we've grown up watching American presidents do these big press conferences. The room is full of reporters. He goes right down. He'll call on 10, 15, sometimes 20. Sometimes these press conferences will last an hour. And they get to the point where the reporters are asking the same question. Usually that's when you end them. But that's what he needs to do. He needs to basically open it up, answer every question, come clean with his situation, and just say, look, this is what happened, and here I am. I'm okay. I can do this. That's what he needs to do. But they're not doing that. They're doing this very selected interview with George Stephanopoulos of ABC. I'm not sure that's going to cut it. I don't think that by itself is going to cut it. He's got to do a press conference with everybody. So, as I say, the White House right now is torn between reality, the reality that is that he's losing support, and the desperation that they want to hold on. Kamala Harris. Do they just pass the ball to Kamala Harris? Or do they open up the convention and say, okay, whoever wants to run, let's have a big primary? I don't know. I don't know. It's not, there's no easy way out for the Democrats here. No easy way out whatsoever. So, yeah, a lot of people are making a lot of predictions. I will stick to my prediction, at least to what I believe, that he will not be the nominee of the Democrat Party. I stick to that. And I guess I'm either going to be right or wrong. But what we saw Thursday night is not a man who should be running for re-election. He can stay as president until the term is over. But there's no way he should be running for re-election. I have a post coming out tomorrow talking about late night comedy. Many of us remember Johnny Carson. There was another show called Dick Cavett back in the 70s. And these were the late night shows that we kind of grew up with. Late night television was a big deal, I guess, back then. And Johnny Carson was the master. And the reason he was the master is because he understood that if you wanted to have political comedy, it had to hit both sides. You couldn't just pick on one side or the other. So Johnny Carson would do his monologue, and he always had a joke about a Democrat or a Republican. And the jokes were not mean. Okay, you didn't walk away from what he used to call the monologue feeling like Johnny Carson was on one side or the other. He just, cracked jokes, and the jokes, as I said, were within the parameter of good humor, but they were not mean. They were not mocking people from one party or the other. Dick Cavett was on ABC back then. He had a different kind of show. It was more serious, but nevertheless, I never felt watching Dick Cavett that he was making fun of one side or the other. But that's kind of what we grew up with. Now what you have is late night television that is very partisan. And in fact, they've done a study that the number of guests and jokes against the Republicans is pretty high. And it's having a consequence. Number one, less people are watching, and advertising revenue is down. I talk about this in my post coming out tomorrow. The fact is that the late night comedians are not doing as well as Johnny Carson used to do, or maybe Dick Cavett or some of the others who were in it for humor, not for political agenda. So I don't know how long the networks can afford to keep these programs. They're not drawing large audiences. And maybe that's okay with them. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the economics or the numbers of it. But all I can tell you is that I personally don't watch any of this because I just don't think it's funny. And when you're mocking people who don't share your political agenda, that's a good way of losing business, as far as I can tell. I mean, if you're in the business of selling shampoo, you want everybody buying your shampoo, not just Democrats or people who hate Trump. You want everybody buying it. And that's what these networks and these late night comedians are, frankly, that's what they forget, because everything is one-sided in their humor. And again, it's not nice humor. They're really going after the people who vote for Trump in a very mean way. And I think that's what's costing them audience. And obviously, based on this article that I'm featuring in my post, it's also costing them advertising revenue. And when you start costing advertising revenue, that's money that you're losing. That's simply money that you're losing. Well, Thursday is July the 4th, and we're going to do a little special on the podcast. We're going to replay that great conversation that we had with Frank Burke a couple of years ago, where Frank actually read the Declaration of Independence, and I think you're going to enjoy that a great deal. We talked about some of the favorite lines, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that kind of thing. We talked about that and what it meant. So I'm going to replay it on the podcast. It'll be also available on my blog, and I'll try to put it up on Twitter as well. It was a great conversation that we had about July 4th and the Declaration of Independence. So I hope that everybody has a happy July 4th. It's a good day to feel patriotic. It's a good day to feel good about the United States. You know, the United States was founded that declaration was 248 years now? Is it 248? Yeah, that's a long time that document was signed. And many of the people who signed that document or who died for that document, I don't know how many of them thought that the country would last that long, but it has. And it's been a great democracy and a great beacon of freedom. And hopefully it'll be that way in the next 250 years. So happy July 4th. Enjoy it. Put out your flag. Eat as much as you want. Nothing wrong with that. But just remember sometime during the day that the celebration is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happy July 4th. And we'll see you after. Bye-bye, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas.